Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode or broadcast of the Imperfect CPA. It's your host, Eric McLaughlin here, and I'm excited to have you all with me on today. Thank you all again for the feedback that you all have been sharing and all the comments, all the encouragement, all the support. It's been great. And I appreciate you all tuning in today as we talk about money personalities. Again, I've been reading and going through The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm encouraging you all to pick up that book and definitely read it. It's been very helpful and life changing to me. Like I said, I read it several years ago. I can't even remember when I read it last, but this time it has been very impactful. And as we talk about making money work for us and changing our money habits, it's just impactful in that way. And so we're going to talk today about money personalities, right? And there's a few of them. And this concept of money personalities was actually developed by Dr. Brad Klontz and Ted Klontz are the developers of this. And so this is going to be a mix of between personalities they've come up with and also some that are referred to in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. And what I want to encourage you all to do is to see which personality is you, because this is important as we go through each week and as we start talking about different concepts in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and delve into them and see how they apply to us and see how we can make sure that we're making changes that are going to be beneficial to our wallets, into our future, into our future wealth building. We've got to identify first what personality are we. And once I go through these, I'll tell you where I believe I fall in. I want to encourage you all, specifically if you're watching it on YouTube or whether you're watching this on LinkedIn or whether you're watching it on Facebook, is to just type in the notes. If you're transparent enough to say, this is the personality that fits me. And I realize, these are all public platforms and I don't expect you all to, put all your business out there, and you can feel free to DM me because I'd be interested to hear what your personalities are. But I aim, as I bring guests on and as I'm on the show, to be transparent about where I am in my money walk and where I've been, so that you can know, as the title says, I'm imperfect. I'm a CPA, so I deal with money. I advise people about money, their tax situations, and help them understand what their financial statements are telling them. But even I, as a professional, have my downfalls and faults. But, as I've heard even the preacher say, Bishop Bronner preached this on Sunday about you learn more from your failures than your successes. And that is definitely true for me, and I'm sure that's true for you as well. So let's go on this journey together and let's talk about money personality. So the first one that they talk about is called the saver. Uh, this is definitely not me. I'm working on it. I do save money, but I'm not the saver in this. Uh, in the way they've approached this personality. This is a highly conservative approach that the doctors talk about in terms of being a conservative or being a saver, because these are the individuals that have money saved up, in an emergency fund. They probably also have a savings account. They may have multiple savings accounts. The word hoarder comes to mind, but I don't think that's the right word. Hoarders has a negative connotation, and I don't think that's the way savers are approached at all, because saving is actually a great thing and a good thing. So I wouldn't use that word hoarder, but it's a very conservative approach. You hold on to money. So you're putting money into different investments, potentially in your retirement account, those types of things. Those are all positive things. I give a thumbs up for that. This is exactly what we're talking about in the show. So we talked about last week. That's what you want to do. So if you're a saver, that's a good thing. But the thing that I like as I was doing my reading about this is they talk about kind of the good and then the challenges that can come with these different personalities. And you would say, well, what challenges could there be with a person who saves money, right? I mean, really, what's the challenge with saving money? That's a great thing. That means you'll have money for a rainy day, and you'll have money, when you need to do different things. Like, you're not going to be broke. But the challenge can become, one is that typically people who are savers, and I say a conservative approach, is because they can potentially be, typically more risk averse, right? They're not gonna be the one that's gonna go for investments that might provide a greater return, because they're gonna be like, I don't want to lose any money. And believe it or not, I've had a few clients like that. Clients I still have that are more conservative in their approach. They make the dollar, they want to hold on to the dollar, and they don't want anybody to take that dollar from them. And I think that's great. Obviously, we want to try to hold on to as much as we can. But at the same time, if you're too conservative, sometimes you miss out on opportunities that can come to make that money work for you. So that's one of the challenges in being conservative. But one of the good things is that they have financial security, right? If you have money saved up, you're in a good position. You're safe. You're able to deal with pitfalls when they come. So those kinds of things are good. What I would also say that I've identified with people who are savers is that they will actually make the money, right? So you'll have a good income stream or flow to be able to put the money away. But the concept, when I talk in my book about making money your employee, it's about the ability to not just work for money, but to make money also work for you. But if you're a saver, sometimes you'll work for the money, but you may not make the money work as hard as it could work for you. And so my challenge would be, and the encouragement that I would give to the saver, is to be open. Obviously, you want to be open and make more informed decisions. So go after knowledge. We're talking about reading, so reading The Richest Man in Babylon. That's what I'm reading right now. But reading other books, doing research, or reading in different finance magazines, or getting with a financial planner or a financial advisor to better understand what opportunities are out there to grow the money, and also what are the risks that you are able to tolerate to be able to make that money work a little harder for you. So I'm not encouraging you to do anything more than what you're comfortable with, because I think that's really important. When it comes to the money that you have, you should be investing at a level that you're comfortable with, because at the end of the day, you're the one to lose. It's not the financial advisor. It's not the financial planner that's going to lose. It's going to be you. So you've got to move at a pace that's good for you. But with knowledge, and wisdom, you're able to make better informed decisions, and maybe able to and be willing to make a step and invest in something that may generate a little more return than what you have right now. So that would be my encouragement to the saver in terms of things that they could do to move forward. Now, let's get to the second one. The second personality is the spender. So we went from the saver to the other end of the spectrum, which is the spender. So the spender says, hey, I'm going to enjoy life. I got this money. You only live once. I'm going to go out there and party and spend my money on whatever. Robert Kiyosaki would call them the doodads. So houses and cars and other toys, nice clothes, the shoes, latest phone, all that kind of stuff that you got to have. The spender's going to get it. And they're going to say, hey, I can't take it with me. I'm going to spend it right now. So what's the positive of that? I know, is there a positive to that? Well, some people would say that there is. And the positive to that is the fact that if you are a spender, right, you are saying, I'm going to live life. You may live it on the edge, but you're going to live life. You're going to enjoy yourself. You only got one life to live. You're going to live it. So that's the positive side of being a spender, right? But the negative side may be obvious as well, right? If you're a spender and not a saver at all, that means that you are in a position of financial instability, right? If something comes up that you didn't plan for, an extra bill, just anything that pops up, you won't have the resources and do not have the resources to handle that emergency that comes up. So what would be my encouragement to the person who's a spender, right? What do you do different to try to set yourself in a different position? Well, the first thing is to be able to realize, number one, what triggers you to be a spender, right? In the research that Dr. Klontz did, they talk about how spenders can sometimes have emotional triggers that cause them to spend, right? It may be depression. It may be happy. Believe it or not, you're happy, you're having a good time, you just want to spend. It could be stress, or believe it or not, it could even be boredom. So you've got to figure out what that trigger is. And the idea is to even go a step further and to document, like, what is triggering me to spend? And is there something different I can do and to deal with that emotion other than spend money? And that might take going to therapy. It may take some self development kind of things. But the point is to understand, first of all, acknowledge that you're a spender. And then number two, to figure out what can I do differently so that I don't spend all that I got. Another thing, some more practical things you can do. And one thing that I've done is pull some of the credit cards out of your wallet, put them away. Some people would say stick them in the freezer in a bag of water and freeze them so you don't use them. I don't know if I would go that far. I haven't gone that far. But I have gone as far as to take some of the credit cards out of my wallet and leave them at home. You'll be surprised what happens when you go out without the credit card and you try to spend something, like, oh, I don't have that credit card. I can't spend. So that's one way to go. Another recommendation is if you have your credit card information saved on a website, delete that. So that you, instead of easily, if you're going to Amazon, if you're going to Walmart, I don't know, whatever online shopping that you do, instead of your credit card information just popping up automatically, you would physically have to take the card out of your wallet, type the numbers in, type in the expiration date, type in the CVV, remember which address it's tied to, all those kinds of things. So it's going to take more labor, and that more deliberate process could actually get you to start thinking about whether or not you really need to make this purchase. The third thing that I would say is, and this is one thing that our guest Corey Gillespie shared last week when he was talking about him and his, I think it was his niece, and they were talking about how there was different things they wanted or whatever, and they would do a pros and cons. What's the pro of me getting this particular thing? What's the con? To really identify, is this something I really need right now, or can I wait? Is there something else better I can do with this money? Because again, remember, we're talking about, on the show, the overall theme is talking about making money work for us. Well, if that money is being spent on what Robert Kiyosaki would call doodads, or spent on something that's not going to generate a return for you, then that money's not going to work for you. It's not going down the toilet, so to speak, but it's not doing anything that's going to necessarily, generate some additional income, unless that's, you're investing in, an income producing asset. So that's the thought process that you need to go through. Those are some of the tips I would have for those who are spenders. Let's talk about the third one that they deal with, and that's being the doctor calls it the amasser, I believe, but in the book Richest Man in Babylon, they refer to it as the person who's the investor, right? So this is the person who doesn't just take money and put it to the side and save it. They actually understand or think about making that money go to work, right? So they're looking for opportunities to put that money to work. And they're making, or should be making, informed decisions. They say that those investors typically make informed decisions. That would be the type of a person that you'd want to be, is that investor that actually says, let me do some research, let me see what kind of return this is going to generate, what's the risk portfolio, to really understand whether or not this is a good investment for me. So the good thing about that person is, of course, they research, they're putting their money to work. They could be diversified in their investments. If they're not, the encouragement would be to make sure that they diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. As an investor, but that's the person who's putting their money to work. So the saver, we say, is probably the person that's working for the money, but not necessarily making their money work for them. The investor is going to be a person who puts their money to work. But my encouragement would be to the person who's the investor, if you want to make sure you're on the best ground, is to always make sure you're making informed decisions, one. And two, if you need professional guidance and help, an advisor, a planner, to seek that out, to make sure that the money doesn't go down a black hole. We're going to talk about that type of investor a little bit later on in the money personalities. And then there is the person who actually is what they call the risk taker, right? So this is the other extreme of the investor, right? So the investor making informed decisions. The risk taker, right, is the person who says, hey, I can get you, 30% back on your money in 60 days, and they're going to jump at it. Or you can get a 25% return in 30 days, right? Just something completely unrealistic, but they're willing to take the risk. So that person that's the risk taker is going to jump out there, put their money in. So they are more prone to what they call get rich quick schemes. If you're this type of person, this is not good. And I will tell you that in my younger days that I did go after those opportunities. They would be exciting. You'd be like, oh, you don't know any better? You think that somebody tells you that put up this money here, and in so many days you'll get that money back. That would have been me, the risk taker. I think that if to identify if that's you, think about if you're prone to I don't want to say susus, because those are those things where there's like friends helping friends. I don't know if you remember that, or when they were you put in like 200 or 250 and you build people up under you, and then at the top, when you get to the top of pyramids, you would get so much money. If you're that kind of person, then you're a risk taker, because you're willing to take risks to gain money, and you've got to be cautious about that, because some people say, well, that could be good because big risk, big returns, but also big risk, big losses can occur. And so if you're a risk taker, what I would say, what my encouragement would be to you is, first of all, is to stop and learn to make informed decisions. I've heard it say, take a beat. So when something gets presented to you, versus jumping on it right away, take 24 hours. Think about it, then come back to it. Say, does this really make sense? Surround yourself with other individuals who can give wise counsel. The Bible talks about there's safety in a multitude of counsel. So I want to encourage you, if you don't have a financial advisor that you trust or a financial planner that you trust, get around a group of friends that you trust that can kind of help balance that out. Because the danger in being the risk taker is that all your money can be gone. And if you've ever seen, I've watched American Greed, right? And there's been individuals, not everybody, but there's been individuals out there that have been those risk takers and taken their retirement plans, retirement accounts and their savings and their investments, and giving it to people who they thought could return big returns, and then they've lost it all. And then they have to start all over. They can't stop working in their retirement age because they don't have any income. Or if you're younger, they had that, or they may have not have enough money to support themselves and have to move out of their houses or become destitute. Those are the dangers that can happen with being a risk taker. So I want to caution against that. There's two more I want to deal with. One is the giver, right? So this is what if you go to church and, we're taught about giving and taught about tithing and helping others and those kinds of things. There are individuals like that. I know people like that their hearts are touched and they will give the last of what they have to others. And there's a blessing in giving. I talked in the show a couple episodes ago about tithing. I believe strongly in tithing. I think there's a blessing. I know it's not even a think. I know there's a blessing in tithing. I know there's a blessing in giving. The caution to being a giver is to be mindful of what you have to give and what you don't. And so the encouragement or the challenge to the giver is to begin to plan your giving. Plan how much money you want to set aside to give to others or to support other programs, whether it's, like the Cancer Society or the American Heart Association or your college or your university or your church. Build that into, we talked about the budget, but build that in so you have a plan of what you're going to give. So, this is what I've set aside to give. This is my giving bucket. And when that's gone, that's it until the next time it's replenished. That's how you can avoid getting into situations similar to like the risk taker, where you give so much of what you have that you can't pay your bills, right? You can't pay your house note. You can't pay your electric bill because you've given everything that you have. So consider plan giving. And that way you can make sure that you have what you need, which gets into the last money personality that I want to deal with. And that's called the planner, right? So my brother was on a few weeks ago, and we may have to re-record that episode because some audio issues. But one of the things that he talked about was he budgets for the whole year. He starts at the beginning of the year. He budgets for the whole year. That's a planner. That's a person who plans out what's going to happen with their money so they know what's going to happen, right? They know what they're going to do with their money before they even get it. And that's actually a good way to go because you've already, I call it putting a name on every dollar that you got going through. You've already assigned it. It's already got a name to it. So it's you know where it's going to go. Now you can say like, what's the danger of that? Not the danger, but what's the challenge? Let's use that word. What's the challenge with being a planner? Well, if you plan so much to the dollar, then it sometimes can limit you from being flexible, right? Or being able to deal with things that pop up within that month that are not in the plan. So then you have to be able to understand how do you make adjustments to your plan, right? When there are things that pop up, you got to be able to adjust and be flexible. That's the challenge to the planner, is to learn that, because I know that sometimes, maybe not so much with money, though it happens with me sometimes with money too, but with my schedule, right? If I plan out how my schedule goes, my wife knows this very well. If I know kind of like this is when I'm going to the gym, then I'm going to work, and then I'm going to do this and do that. If something pops up that throws off my schedule, then I get all flustered and out of sorts and just like, my day is ruined and that kind of thing. But I have to learn to adjust and be flexible. And sometimes that can be difficult to do, but you have to be able to do the same thing with money so you don't get bent so far out of shape that you can't adapt your plan to be able to work it and be able to, adjust to what needs to happen to resolve the money issue. So my challenge to you all in the audience today, as we've dealt with this episode, is to figure out which personality are you? Are you the saver? Are you the spender? Are you the investor? Are you the giver? Are you the planner? Are you the risk taker? And if you don't mind, put it in the chat, in YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And if not, then go ahead and DM me. I'd be interested to hear and to see. And then once you identify that, right, as we're going through these other points, dealing with the richest man in Babylon, dealing with making money your employee, think through how, given your personality, how are you going to adjust? So I told you that I would tell you what my money personality bent tends to be. And I will say that I'm probably a spender. I hate to say, I don't think I'm the extreme spender, like, oh, live for today and I'll figure it out later. But I am definitely not the saver, though I should be. But I'm not. I'm learning to save, and one of the things I have to do, because I am a spender, right? So I understand, that I can be very loose with money sometimes. Is I set up, and I talk about this in my book, automatic transfers. So money goes into my savings and investment accounts like every week, but it has to be automatic. Like I can't see it. I'm not going to always be the one. On occasion, I will, like if I have excess money, I'll move some money into the savings or into an investment account. But overall, that's not the way I operate. So I have to have it done automatically. But it works great for me because it allows me to amass money. And pretty much once I put that money out of sight for me, I am less likely to spend it. Like I don't go in my Acorn account monthly or in my Robinhood account monthly or in my retirement account really at all to try to pull money out to do whatever. I will say that I've been to my Acorn account in an emergency situation and in my Robinhood account in an emergency situation, but not on any type of regular basis. I say, oh, okay, I want those new shoes. I'm going to go pull money out of my account. Or, oh, I want to get that new car. I'm going to go to my account and go pull some money out. So that's what works for me. I had to identify for me, that's what helps me save and do better with money, is have money automatically go into different buckets. So I challenge you to figure out what your money personality is, and then figure out what things you're going to do to make sure that you put yourself in the best position possible, not just for right now, but for your future. So that's that's what I want to do with money personalities. And before I go, what I thought I'd also do, because normally I have a guest every week, right? And we go through these questions about what did you learn about money? Um, how did that affect you? Um, what made you come to a turning point? And then what are you doing now? So I thought I'd share on this particular episode as we close out, like what is those questions? How do I answer those questions? So again, if you saw the interview with my brother, my twin brother Derek, and again we'll I'll probably have him back on and we'll redo the episode. We were talking about what we learned from my father regarding my mom and dad regarding money. So my dad was an accountant, believe it or not. So I'm a CPA. My father was an accountant. He wasn't a CPA, but he was an accountant. An accountant for a long time, as long as I can remember. My father was an accountant with the GSA, General Service Administration, is who he worked for, and then also he was like the treasurer at the church. I mean, that my father, though, like my brother and I had talked about in that episode, didn't like directly learn like this is what you do with money. This is how you save. This is how you come up with a budget. This is what a credit card is. I will say that we saw very good spending habits with both my parents. So my dad was an accountant. My mom was a math teacher. So both very good with numbers. But we didn't get those hard lessons. So like before going off to college, like there was no talk about credit cards and how to use them and that they're out there and, don't get them, or, if you get them, make sure you pay them. There was none of that. There's probably some talk about savings, I will say, because I had a job when I was in high school and used to spend a little money. And my father helped me open up an account at like a company called American Savings and Loan. I don't think they're even around anymore, but that was like my first savings account. But so there was that, but there was really not a lot of this is what money does and this is how this works. So as a result of that, when I went off to college, I went to Morehouse College. And when I got there, right, freshman year, they have the people that used to have tables set up outside, and you could go get you could just apply for a credit card like on the spot. It was like so easy. So I filled the application. I think my first credit card was through Bank of America, I think was who it's through. And because I had no concept of what a credit card was, right, or how it worked, right, I think I went to Macy's or Rich's or something and went shopping for clothes and never paid on the credit card. I think my brother might have paid on his credit card a few times. I never paid on that credit card. I don't even think I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I was 18. I didn't know I didn't know what a credit card was. I didn't know what you're supposed to do with it. And so as a result, in I think a matter of 3 months, the card is closed, right? So they typically let you go like 60 or 90 days and they're going to close the card. And then I've got all this late stuff reporting on my credit report, which is the other thing I didn't know, right? So I'm 18, maybe 19, and I have no idea what a credit report is. I have no idea of what a credit report is. I don't even know if I've heard of a credit report at that time. So I don't really know the effect of me not paying my credit cards, what that means. And that's why I asked Corey last week, like, how did how did this work with you in credit cards? And at least Corey, made the minimum payments. He knew enough to make the minimum payments, which probably kept his credit score good. So he didn't have to deal with all the challenges that come with having bad credit. So all throughout college, right, I think I worked a job my sophomore year, might have worked at MBNA. That was the big thing. They were a big bank at the time. I don't remember if they're still around or not, but I worked there for a little while. And then I got a really good job through a temp agency working at RTC, Resolution Trust Corporation, making good money, but still didn't understand quite how money worked. So I actually got a car my last year of school because you could go to the dealership and present your letter if you had a job when you graduated, and I did that and got a car. But because I didn't have the lessons that I needed to have about money, that still didn't go well. Right, I got late on my car note. I had a job out of college working at Deloitte, but I didn't keep the money that I had, so all of my money was being spent. It was just a mess, and that translated over into my marriage. right? So when I got married, still no really good money habits. In fact, things didn't really change for me money wise. I would say probably until maybe 8 years ago. I think it was when I was like 45, right? There was a gentleman that I was dealing with, my Morehouse bros, and I was interested because I was thinking to myself, you know, I've left a lot out of this story, but I went from working a job to working for myself. So when I work for myself and business starts growing, I'm like, I'm making this money, but I don't have anything to show for it. So it's great that I'm able to make money through having a CPA practice. That's what I do, right? But it's horrible that I have nothing to show for this. Nothing in a savings, nothing in a retirement account, no life insurance. So I just got tired. I got sick and tired and said, this doesn't make any sense. And that's when I made the decision to start doing some different things. Hey, I'm going to start, setting up an Acorn account, at least so I can, and if nothing else, with Acorn, you can at least round up on your spending. So if I spend 80 cents, they'll put 20 cents in my savings account. So not a lot of money, but it's a start. I said, let me go set up a retirement account. So I went to Capital One and set up a retirement account with them. And then I got with one of my Morehouse bros who was a financial advisor, and I set up some life insurance. So then once I started doing those things, I started feeling a little bit better. And then I started getting a little more interested, in just learning more about what these things are and how do they benefit me, and then wanting to start to encourage my clients to do the same. So that was my turning point for me. And now, that I'm 53, I'm still not where I want to be, right? Financially, not in my retirement account, not in my savings account, not in my investment accounts, but I'm not where I used to be. It almost sounds like church, right? I'm not who I want to be, but I'm not who I used to be. But I'm not where I want to be, but I am much better than I was. And I can tell you there's a different type of rest and sleep that comes when you start getting your financial matters in order. There's a certain type of rest and peace that comes when you can say that at least I'm not at zero. At least I can get some money from somewhere. I got money somewhere and got some savings, got some investments, got some retirement, have some life insurance. So that's my story. And maybe as these episodes go on, I'll delve more into the other things that I've bumped my head along the way. I'm a hard-headed person, so I bump my head a lot. So we'll talk about more of those things probably in the future, but that's a little bit of my story. So I just want to encourage you, as we exit this program today, think about the money personalities we talked about today. Think about what your story is. And if you are on the wrong path in your finances, listen, it's never too late to change. My favorite phrase to say is start now. Start from here. Get started today. If you're not saving, go ahead and open up a savings account. Start putting $1 in there. Put $1 in every week. Don't listen to people who might say, oh, that's too small, because all you're trying to do is get a start and get started. If you don't have a retirement account, let's go ahead and get a retirement account open and start putting some money in there so you can have something for the future. If you don't have any investments, let's talk about putting some money to go to work for you so you can make money your employee too, and you won't just be working for your money. So listen, if you have questions, you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on my webpage, ericmclaughlin.com. It's just my name. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe so that we can continue to share this message with others, invite others to come and listen to the podcast as I share my story and try to share with you principles about how to make money work for you. Until next time, thanks.